That's Gavin.
That's Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom, who's the current
Oh,
governor of California.
no, not Mr. Newsom. That's a nutcase right there in
Andrew on
a
this
suit.
one.
You know, if that's who we have.
Wait, did you catch that? They just held up a picture of one of the most powerful politicians in America to a room full of average voters, and the reaction is absolutely priceless. You cannot script this kind of brutal honesty.
Having the general, yes, I would. Is that who I'd want in the primary? No.
Okay, let's just pause and really look at the dynamics in that room. When the moderator asks if they'd want him in the primary, the immediate zero hesitation no speaks volumes. We spend so much time listening to talking heads and strategists tell us what the American people are supposedly thinking. But this right here, this is raw, unfiltered reality. The guy in the green shirt didn't even have to think about it before dropping the nutcase label, and nobody in the circle jumped in to defend him. That kind of visceral rejection from a random focus group is a massive red flag for any campaign. It completely shatters the carefully curated image these politicians pay millions to maintain. You can literally feel the disconnect between the political elite's expectations and the ground level voters' actual perception. It makes you wonder how isolated these candidates are from everyday conversations if this level of blatant dismissal catches them off guard. Seriously, pay attention to the body language of everyone else in the chairs. They're all nodding or laughing along. The consensus is undeniable.
I'm sorry. I am someone that believes in character. I am someone that believes that morals matter. But because of the state of this country, if I lived in Maine, I would hold my nose and I would vote for Platinum.
Did you hear that completely wild contradiction? She literally starts off by claiming that morals matter and that character is essential, and then in the very next breath says she would hold her nose and vote for him anyway. That right there is the absolute peak of political tribalism. It's fascinating to watch someone's brain justify throwing their deeply held convictions out the window just to make sure their team wins. Think about the message that sends. If character is supposedly a red line, how do you justify crossing it when it's convenient? This kind of blind loyalty is exactly why so many people are completely checked out of the political process entirely. Notice how the rest of the table just sits there and accepts this logic without challenging the obvious hypocrisy. It's a stunning admission that standard rules of accountability don't apply when it's someone wearing your jersey. You really have to question the integrity of the whole system when major influencers on daytime TV are openly giving a free pass to behavior they would normally crucify their opponents for.
Alexis Podesta wore a wire, hung around Gavin Newsom's wife, and their political circle, and now they're under investigation.
Yeah, and look, I'm not always a believer that where there's smoke, there's fire. But if you have a staffer of yours who is agreeing to wear a wire, there's got to be something deep there, Will. And the fact that there's already, been convictions that have come from some of this stuff, it's not just this wild goose chase. There's something there. And you know what Gavin Newsom is doing right now is he is trying to figure out if he knows or doesn't know who gets the blame. Because that's what Democrats do. They protect their leader, and somebody's going to take the heat for it. But I think that there's something here.
Hold on. A trusted inner circle staffer wearing a wire? That is straight out of a mob movie, not a standard political campaign. Look at the gravity of what they're discussing here. If someone that close to the governor is secretly recording conversations for federal investigators, the level of panic inside that camp must be completely off the charts. It's not just a casual leak or an anonymous source speaking to a reporter. It's hard digital evidence being handed directly to the FBI. You have to wonder what specifically pushed this staffer to flip. Usually, someone doesn't agree to wear a wire unless there's some serious leverage involved or they realize the ship is sinking and want a life raft. The fact that the panel is pointing out that where there's smoke, there's fire is spot on. They are trying to figure out who gets the blame, which is the classic political scramble. Pay attention to how they describe the timeline. This isn't a new development, which means those recorded conversations could contain months of unfiltered, behind-closed-doors strategy that no one ever intended for the public or prosecutors to hear.
Was vetted. People knew all these things. And a whole bunch of Democrats in Maine showed up and voted for him anyway. And a bunch of donors from around the country sent him money anyway. I agree with Alyssa's question. What changed? Why are you bailing on Graham Plattner now? You already signed off on Nazi tattoo, a self-described communist, somebody who's had rape fantasies, somebody who has been on a social media platform known as a playground for predators. And the difference between this accuser and the previous one is simply this. She's a liberal. All of this whole thing is disgusting. But to say that they hadn't vetted him or that they didn't know about all this is totally false. They knew it and they signed up for it. And I don't know why they're backing away from this scumbag today when they had already signed off on all that other crazy behavior.
Wow, he is absolutely not holding back. Let's break down that laundry list of red flags he just rattled off. A self-described communist with a Nazi tattoo and a history of extreme behavior. And despite all of that being public knowledge, heavy hitters and donors still poured money and endorsements into his campaign. It really exposes the brutal calculus of modern politics. Win at all costs, even if it means ignoring glaring, radioactive warning signs. He asks the perfect question: why bail on him now? If all those horrifying details weren't enough to stop the endorsements in the first place, what suddenly changed the math? It implies that the political establishment only cares about scandals when they threaten the polling numbers, not when they actually happen. Look at the sheer disbelief on his face as he lists out these attributes. It's a stark reminder that vetting processes are often just a formality, easily bypassed if a candidate serves a temporary strategic purpose. The hypocrisy being called out here is thick enough to cut with a knife, and it leaves the establishment looking completely compromised.
This could be the thing that torpedoes Gavin Newsom, right? This is not some hokey pokey. This could be something that he looks back on and says, this is what broke us. This is what broke my campaign.
Okay, look at the intensity here. Calling this a torpedo is incredibly deliberate language. When a political analyst uses that kind of aggressive, catastrophic terminology, you know the stakes are existential. He's making it crystal clear that this isn't just a minor PR bump in the road. This is the kind of revelation that ends careers. Notice how he emphasizes that it's not some hokey pokey stuff. He wants the audience to separate this from the usual partisan noise and understand the severe legal and political gravity of a wiretap. If the governor looks back and realizes this specific moment broke his campaign, it shows how incredibly fragile these massive political machines actually are. One compromised insider can bring down a fortress. It completely shifts the power dynamic from the politician to the investigators holding those tapes. You can almost see the gears turning as he predicts the inevitable fallout. It makes you realize that behind every polished podium speech, there is a constant high-stakes game of survival happening in the shadows. And right now, the governor is definitely on the losing end.
He's scared, right? Absolutely. He's trying to figure out what was said, what wasn't said. Was she in the room? Was she not in the room? Was I on the phone when she was? But here's the crazy thing. A year from now, I have a funny feeling. I mean, this could be the thing that torpedoes Gavin Newsom, right? This is not some hokey pokey. This could be something that he looks back on and says, this is what broke us. This is what broke my campaign. And how quick did he have that press release out? I mean, he had that press release, that statement. He put it out within hours after this came out. He's prepared, he's tactical, but how he reacts to this and if he is able to survive it, this is going to be a big impact on the 2028 presidential election.
Look at how aggressive this line of questioning gets. She is actively stepping into the role of a defense attorney, demanding to know what elevates this story to a publishable standard. It is incredibly rare to see a host grill a reporter from a major outlet like Politico with this level of open skepticism. She's relentlessly pushing him on the timeline and the corroborating evidence. This completely exposes the tension between media ethics and political hit pieces. When she keeps asking, what is the actual evidence of a crime, you can see the reporter struggling to provide a solid, tangible answer beyond therapist notes and text messages. It forces the audience to question the threshold for destroying someone's reputation in the modern news cycle. Are private texts and secondary accounts enough? Or does there need to be a formal legal process? Notice the uncomfortable body language on the split screen. This isn't a friendly morning chat. It's a brutal interrogation about journalistic integrity, and it reveals how quickly the media turns on itself when a high-profile narrative starts falling apart under basic scrutiny. Wow, things move fast in this world. Hit subscribe if you want more raw, unfiltered breakdowns, and I'll see you guys in the next one.